What is up, friends? I just realized we're both wearing black. We both dressed for the occasion today, but hello, guys. Apologies that Dork Discourse this week got pushed back from our usual day, and actually our usual day, I think, is maybe going to go back to being on Tuesdays. My schedule is kind of all over the place right now, so I think at least for the foreseeable future, it will go back to being how it started out on Tuesday evenings. So yes, apologies for the delay this week. We had to push it back, but then we realized, oh, well, we're going to be going to see the Batman on Thursday evening, so why not have a recap and share our both spoiler-free and spoiler-containing reactions. So as you can see, we wanted to keep this as safe of a space as possible, so I'm also going to try to monitor the chat as well, but I'm sure that goes without saying, and I know you guys are all good people, so I'm sure nobody in here would spoil the whole thing. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, so as you'll see, we have a, I think I have to point this way, or I think if I point, it's reversed.
It's over me.
Yes,
so, yeah.
If I point this way, yes, you'll see. We have what will be our indicator, so if you happen to join in, you'll be able to see, oh, we're talking spoiler free at the moment. Nic Gundy, member for 3 months, let's go!
Nick.
3-month anniversary. Gonna hang out until it's spoiler time, because I'll watch it tomorrow with family. Yeah, I know, we did feel bad that, you know, we were fortunate that we were able to go last night, and that we could go to a late night viewing. So I know a lot of people still haven't had the chance to see it yet, so that's why we wanted to present a spoiler-free initial beginning, and then
yeah, so we'll start out spoiler-free, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll switch into full spoiler talk. So for everyone in the chat, if you can keep it spoiler-free up until then, so then, you know, if people want to just
try and help
join the chat and, you know, talk spoiler-free review with everybody, we can do that, but then, you know, eventually we'll get into full spoiler talk, and then we'll switch the overlay on the screen so then people will know whether it's safe to watch or not.
Yeah. Charlie, thank you so much. So I guess Charlie has seen it. I didn't want to have to like put pressure on you to be like, will you monitor the chat for spoilers? Because I didn't even know if you had seen it yet, so I'm relieved. Thank you, Charlie, for being willing to help. But and we honestly haven't even fully discussed it with each other, because we went to a 10 p.m. showing last night, which maybe was a bit of a mistake. But you know, with trailers and previews and all of that good stuff these days, you know, the film didn't really start until like probably like 10:45, honestly. And so by the time we got out of there, it was like 2 a.m. and we kind of were both just like in a daze, like walking home. And then we kind of just, I went to go film my review, and Tom went to go to bed. So we didn't even really discuss afterwards. Tom's starting us off with a poll here. Did you post it?
No, I didn't post it. Oh. But I figured we'd put this poll out there just to see if everyone watching who has seen it, who hasn't seen it, and if you're just in the chat hanging out and don't have any plans on seeing it.
Which would be
just to
shocking.
Get a gauge, yeah. Just to get a gauge before we start digging in here.
Yeah. Langford Artist, I love this comment. Yes, so we want to hear from you guys who have seen it, spoiler free again. Honestly, this is the definitive film Batman for me as a comic reader. It is not just a masterpiece film, it's art. And I agree 100%. This is definitely film noir, like... Can we talk about the eye acting from Robert? Yes. Yeah. We will get into that when we do spoiler talk. But yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think that the promotional material, all of the trailers, the marketing, the posters, whatever you want, everything included, did a really good job of establishing that this film was going to have a different aesthetic, like a different, darker vibe. But even still, the film itself exceeded what I was even expecting, and I went into it assuming that it was going to have a different type of themes, aesthetic, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't a film major, but I can, from an artistic perspective, yes, it is definitely not just a stereotypical movie. The color grading, the shots, the cinematography, the style, like, there's a lot of different stuff going on in it. And it, despite the fact that a lot of the marketing previewed some of that, it still, like, exceeded my expectations in terms of how unique it was.
Yeah, and I know that we saw a review yesterday that said, like, you know, if you go into it thinking that it's going to be a, you know, like a kind of a detective spy thriller.
Oh, that was from Terrorstone.
Type of, oh yeah,
Terrorstone.
Evil Ewok. Yeah, he was talking about that. And you know, if you go into it, you know, trying to like get excited for unraveling the mystery of everything that's going on, you know, really, I mean, it sets it up really, really well. You know, it's not 3 hours of him just, you know, pounding skulls into the pavement, but it's very, very intense. And for the entire 3 hour runtime, I mean, it's intense
and suspenseful.
Yeah.
Like definitely, like I felt very like equivalent to how I felt during some parts of Joker. Honestly, I feel like they're very comparable in terms of the maturity level, the kind of almost like unnerving, like almost anxiety inducing. Like there were some scenes where I was like, is this like an A24 film? Like I was definitely like on the edge of my seat, like clutching my pearls. Like what's gonna happen? Like, and like, there's a lot of just kind of suspense and thriller aspects of it, and that's exactly what Terrorstone was saying, and what Langford Artist here is saying. Like, don't go into this expecting an action-packed superhero flick. Expect what Matt told us, a detective crime drama that's gonna make your skin crawl. Exactly.
Yeah, it definitely makes your skin crawl. I mean, the opening scene is, I mean, it's like haunting. Like that, the opening scene is like one of the craziest opening scenes I think I've ever seen in a movie. And it was like, I was watching it and I was like, how is this going to be a PG-13 movie and not an R-rated movie?
I was thinking today because
like
I didn't.
The opening scene, I was like, this opening scene, if it stays on this level the whole time, I have a hard time understanding why it's PG-13 and not R. But I mean, I love it. You know,
no,
like
I was thinking about
definitely they definitely weren't afraid to hold back. Like, you know,
I'm stunned that it's not R.
No.
Danny! Oh my god!
Danny, you legend!
Danny! Wow! Oh my god!
Danny!
Danny! Oh my goodness! That is extremely generous. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I'm gonna go watch it tomorrow with my girlfriend, and we are pumped. I hope you guys have an amazing time. Thank you for tuning in, even though you haven't seen it yet. And thank you for that. You're so generous. Literally, stop. I can't.
Yeah, you guys will not be disappointed. Definitely won't be disappointed.
No, it is. I think over like 1,000% worth the wait and beyond. And I think because it really like. And perhaps the length is attributed to this, but it's like last time I sat through a movie that long was Avatar, like I think I said in a previous stream. So by the end, I will say like it does feel like you have been there for a long time, but like you get so wrapped up in it, I almost didn't even want it to end. I was like, let's just keep. It's already been this long, like let's just keep going. You get so into it, like I forgot about real life. Like I kept having to remind myself. I was like, oh, we have to leave after this.
Yeah.
Like it was. You definitely get so. It is 3 hours, and it feels 3 hours, but not in a good way. There are some movies that are.
What do you mean not in a good
no,
way?
not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, in a good, not in a bad way. That's what I meant. There are movies that are 3 hours, even 2.5 hours, where you're just like, okay, this is unnecessary. Nobody needed this. I could name a few, but this was certainly not. It feels like a marathon by the end, but you are 1,000% satisfied, and I said this in my review, which I just posted, but like that made it worth all of this wait. Like they dropped that trailer in 2020, summer of 2020.
Yeah, the first trailer came out a couple years ago.
Yeah, so here we are, like 2 years later, after it had already been pushed back, the release, because it was supposed to be 2021 originally. So like after that long wait, I was like, this should honestly be the norm for these like super hyped up franchise standalone films. Like, in order to do a complete character study, like you need that amount of time, because they didn't waste a second of it. They used every scene accordingly.
Yeah. And I mean, going back to the length topic, I mean, there were multiple times where you're like, oh, yep, this is the ending.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the ending. And you're like, you don't want it to end, but you're like, oh, they're definitely going to end it right here. And then it doesn't. Like, it was 5 to 10 times that, that happened. And even like the entire final act, like I thought, at one point I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like I could totally see him ending it right here. And then a follow-on film would carry it out from here. But no, they're like, no, screw it. We're putting the whole damn thing in one film. We're making one film, and it's going to be all plot lines with, a couple teases at the end for future films if they're going to make them. But every single thread was pretty much, tied off in this one movie. So even though you're sitting there like, oh, they're going to end it. Oh, they're going to end it right here. They're going to end it right here.
Yeah.
You're after you're actually done, and after the movie's actually, end credits, you're like, I mean, I'm completely satisfied. All the plot lines were, cut and resolved with small hints to what could be in the future.
Yeah. Jonathan Yara, I have to concur. Zoe Kravitz is so hot in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is so phenomenal in this movie. I really am curious to see the reception for Robert Pattinson's performance, because I mean, he like, I don't want to spoil. I always struggle with non-spoiler
Spoilers plot
content.
lines. Spoilers plot lines, not like how the actor performed.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, his performance is truly like he like carries this movie on his shoulders, and that's not to say that the rest of the cast isn't bringing their A game. Like, this is a stellar ensemble. Everybody was incredible. Everybody, I think, perfectly cast, and they all worked really well together. Like, everybody had good chemistry, I feel like. But even with that, like, Robert Pattinson still, like, just, like, when you see the film, you'll know he has a lot of work to do in this movie, and he makes it look easy. Yeah. So
there wasn't a single scene where I was like, oh, that was, like, painful to watch because the acting was not great. Like, across the whole movie, like, it was phenomenal acting.
Yes.
Like, there's some movies where you sit down and you're like, okay, I was pulled out of the film because of some line, the way some line was delivered or something. Like, there's usually some scene somewhere in a movie where you can be like, okay, I actually got pulled out of it because that was cringe or, like, out there or whatever. But like, I honestly can't recall a single moment in this film where I was like,
no, because these are stellar actors. No. I mean, no. I can't even Paul Dano. Like, it truly, I feel like his performance is award-winning worthy. Like, yeah. Maybe I'm just I'm such a Paul Dano fan.
What else is he in? I don't even know who he is.
Have you ever seen Little Miss Sunshine? That's when I first
I don't think so.
saw him. He's like, he's in a lot of like interesting, like, niche cult favorite like movies.
I don't know.
But he is so, like, I don't know. Let's look at his. I'm trying to think if there's anything. What the?
Well, yeah, TMoney, yeah, right. It was slightly Imperial March-esque. Yeah, I was talking to Catherine earlier. After we watched it last night, I was like semi disappointed in the score. But I was saying, I mean, it was the same with like Rogue One, and you know, they're both Michael Giacchino. He did the score for both of those. But even after Rogue One, I was like, oh, the score was kind of not, it was okay. But then after watching Rogue One again, I was like, the score's incredible. Why did I not appreciate the score the first time watching it? And, you know, I got that same kind of feeling last night. Like, yeah, I mean, the main themes are fantastic, you know, with the Nirvana and, you know, the Imperial March-esque Batman theme. Like, they're both great, but like walking out, I was like, oh, I didn't really, like, the score didn't impact me the way I thought it would. But I think it's just the way that he scores his films are like, it's just perfect. It complements the movie so well that you're not like thinking about the score the first time you're watching the movie.
Exactly.
And so after you see the movie another time and you already know the plot, then you like, you know, you're thinking about more things other than, oh, what's going to happen next. And then it's like the score really hits you. So it's the same with Rogue One. Like, you know, you see Rogue One the first time, you're watching it, you're like totally involved in what's going to happen next. What planet are they going to go next? Like what, you know, what's going to happen next? But then after you see Rogue One again, you're like, wow. Like the score is, you're thinking about, like, since you know what's going to happen, you're thinking about in the moment way more, and like the score matches it perfectly. So I think that, you know, watching it for the second time, and if anyone's seen it twice already,
how first
let me know. First of all, you're a tank.
Yeah.
But second of all, let us know if there's a difference in like what you thought of the score the first time and the second time.
No, I think also because the score was had a lot of different things going on with like this ominous like classical music sprinkled in, like it was definitely used to like set the mood and not necessarily set like a definitive, like he has his definitive theme, but you could tell they weren't going for just like a, like, it's music that all sounds the same way. Like there was different stuff, and that's what made things like heightened, like in heightened action moments when you hear his theme versus in some of those other moments where it's just like one like weird choral, like creepy, like voice, like singing this weird music. Like, I don't want to again spoil anything, but Terror Stone. Literally shout out to Terror Stone because I loved his little review that he gave to us on Evil Ewok last night, and he set it up perfectly. If you go into this not expecting like an action-packed hero flick, then like, and anticipating more like the psychological mystery like aspect of it, the kind of detective nature, like that's a perfect, I think, description of what this is, which I think it still felt very much like, you know, I think in terms of a hero standpoint, like an action film, this dove the most into the protagonist's like character than like anything else. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we saw layers of Bruce Wayne, but more importantly the Batman. Like they are like two separate entities like in this film. It's, I don't want to say anything, like it's hard to
not
try
entities
to describe it,
well, yeah, they're two different entities like in every other Batman film,
but it's
where
like,
no one knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
The Batman is, I'll save this for when we do the spoiler talk. How would you rank Pattinson from other Batman actors? He brought something new to it. I've never been a doubter. I know so many people were like, what? Questioning when they announced that casting. But no, and perhaps I'm biased because I've literally been a fan of his since the Twilight days when I was in like 5th grade. So I have a lot of invested energy in his career. But no, it's very interesting because he's like a tour de force actor, but and this goes back to like the good acting. Like bad acting happens when you try too hard and you can tell someone is trying and it just comes across fake or they just don't fit the role. Robert Pattinson does so little. Like I'm not trying to say he showed up and put no effort in, but he like didn't even need to try. He makes it look easy, and he can literally kill you with just a stare, like, as someone was mentioning, his eye acting.
Yeah,
like,
the eye acting. I mean, they acted it so, like, you feel Batman's presence. Like, when he's there, like, there's, other dialogue with Gordon and whoever going around, like, around Batman. But, like, when he's there, he's, just, like, laser focused in on trying to figure out the riddles. And, he's just, like, the camera's just reading his eyes. Like, everyone in the room's reading his eyes, reading his body language. And then, when he chimes in, you're like, this guy is not messing around. This man is not messing around. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's the perfect, like, I don't think he could have done a better job acting in those moments. Like, when you don't need to have, like, crazy amounts of dialogue, you're just, you're telling your thoughts with no words, and your eyes, your facial expression, your body language, and, like, that's what Batman is going to be, and they're supposed to be, and that's what this movie is about. Like, he's feared. He's a symbol of fear to keep people in line, and he's not looking for the heroics. He's looking, like, he doesn't want the citizens to praise him. He wants the villains to fear him. That's how the tone is set on early. And with his acting and his body language and eye movements and stuff, like, you totally feel that 100%.
Yeah, I think, and again, I said this in my review, but I've been very open about this when I am in the ilk of people who are like, how many Batman movies do we need? Like, when are we gonna have enough? Like, is this just gonna keep happening for the rest of our lives? Like, I understand, like, he is a very complex and likable hero. He's different, he's just a human being, yet he is so revered, and even just as one man, he can do so much. So I understand that, but when they announced there were going to be another Batman film, before I heard the Robert Pattinson casting, I was like, when is this? How much longer is this going to happen? Like, when are we going to just move on to, like, different stories? Yeah. So I was in that category of people who, like, I feel like when is this going to become overdone? Like, how much more wiggle room is there until it's like we've seen every aspect of Batman that we can see? But Robert Pattinson, like, took that challenge and he, like, shoved it in my face. He was like, no, here you go. Like, he brings so many new layers.
He said, I don't care what you guys think. Take this Batman movie and shove it down your throat.
Yeah. He just, and again, this goes back to how incredible of an actor he is, because he has a lot of that pressure on him. I would feel pressure. He's assuming a role that has already been done X amount of times. We literally still have, like, there's, like, how many Batmen who are still alive? Like, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, like, every Batman actor is still, Val Kilmer, like, all of them, George Clooney, like, he is still, like, this legacy is huge, and they're all still out there. Literally, the Ben Affleck ones are, like, still fresh, like, still barely cooled off out of the oven, and they're bringing in a new film. Yeah. So he had a huge role to take on, and this again goes back to, like, how stone cold of a performer he is, because you don't see any of that pressure. You just see, like, his confidence, and again, that goes back to my point earlier, and I learned this all the time in my acting classes. Like, the more you try, the worse it's gonna look. And he seriously made it look effortless. Like, he was not trying to be intimidating or intense, and he just has those natural qualities to him, which I think is why a Bat multiverse Xwing. Yo, I would take it. That could happen. No, I really would like to see I don't know, but
like seeing Toby come back in No Way Home was one thing, but seeing Christian Bale come back would be
500 Batmans. Something. Oh Lord,
that would be something. They're gonna do a DC Marvel merger, and then in Multiverse of Madness, it's just gonna be every single Batman that shows up from DC, along with all Spider-Man coming back. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. If Christian Bale comes back, that would be something. But honestly, I mean, I saw something. There was some other review that we watched, and the person was saying like, there's, this is a prime example of a case where you don't rely on external characters to drive the story and make the movie good. Like, for example, a lot of people are saying like Mando season 2 is just like, oh, which character is going to show up next to drive the story versus, having the storyline follow around the Mandalorian himself. But in this case, like, from the trailers, like you basically know all the characters that are going to be in it, right? Yeah. Like the trailers tell you exactly what the plot's going to be about, and the movie follows through, and you're entertained for 3 straight hours, and you're not relying on, oh, who's going to show up that's going to make the movie next level.
Yeah, no, it's not about the cameos. Yeah. It's like they lay it all on the table. You pretty much have a clear idea going in. This is what it's going to be about, and the next 3 hours they just get right to it. And I'm as much as I was sitting there in the theater, like, I've never seen this in a movie before, ever. People literally leaving, like, as if you're at a sporting event trying to beat traffic, like, trying to get out of the parking lot. Like, there were people getting up and leaving, and then there was still, like, a solid 20 minutes left of the movie. Like, there were people thought it was over, and then, like, it kept going. Yeah. Which I, again, had never seen before, and I was like, losers, like, as they were leaving. But
it was also 1 a.m, so it's not like there's going to be traffic getting out of the parking lot. So
exactly. But, I don't know. As much as I was sitting there, I felt that. I was like, okay, I was almost like, this is almost getting, like, too much. Like, when's it going to end? As much as I felt that, it still was like, the 3 hours, it's worth it. It needs it. Like, They don't waste a single second, and it's not like you're sitting there like, oh my god, this whole scene was unnecessary, or they could have cut out this whole hour and shortened it. Like, that is not the case at all. No. It occupies all 3 of those hours so that it can do a full deep dive in, so that by the time it is over, you feel completely satisfied. And I felt totally like, F yes, like, this was so worth the wait. I am behind. I don't think we acknowledged Julian, member for 3 months. Let's go.
Thank you, good man.
Julian says, I think he did a okay job, but he didn't separate the character. I saw it twice. Oh my gosh, how? But I saw the movie at home. How were you able to do that? It's not on any streaming. I won't question it. It was good, but ran a little too long. The Catwoman outfit could have been better. It was a good movie. I feel that. I feel you. It definitely, there were definitely, I'm not trying to defend the length, but at the same time, there were definitely parts where I was like, okay, I feel like they could have wrapped it, like, they could have wrapped it up. Like, there were just several parts where I thought it was going to be over. Yeah. If it had just been one instance, then I would have understood. But there were, like, at least 4 parts where I was like, all right, this is going to be the end. And then it wasn't.
But I mean, that's totally fine with me. Because, one, the movie got delayed and we've been waiting. But then also, like, they could have very easily split this movie in half, left it on a cliffhanger, and then, waited a year to release this second part. Like, I mean, there was very good cliffhangery points right into the middle of the movie where you would have been like just waiting for the second half of the movie. Yeah. And they were like, no, we're going to have a complete story in 3 hours and tie it all together. And so, yeah, in the moment, like, you're hearing, you're thinking about all those points that, like, you're thinking about all the points. I know. So my brain just shut off. Your brain. You're thinking about all the points, like, oh wow, like you're gonna end it right now. They're gonna end it right now, and then they don't. But at the end, you're like, thank goodness they didn't end it, because now it's all one cohesive plotline story. Yeah. And they didn't just split it up as a cash grab or just build hype. Like, now when we get a second movie, it's gonna be a full on another, like, individual self-contained story, which is kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah. Like, each of those movies are very, very much their own stories. Batman Begins, Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises maybe bleed into each other a little bit more. as a cohesive thing. Yeah. But Xwing, you're probably already gone, but thank you so much for being here. You never owe us anything. He was like, I have to go do a gaming stream. I'm broken at Red Super Chat. You literally never have to. Stop. But Obsession, thank you so much. Tom looks good. Hope you two enjoyed the movie. We did. Obsession.
Thank you, sir.
Did. Honestly,
you look great too.
That was the latest that we had honestly been out of the house in a long time. Yeah. It felt like I was in middle school again. I was like, I have not gone to see a movie this late since I was maybe like 14.
Awesome. It was awesome.
But it's at the 30-minute mark. Do we want to do a switch over and
let's see. Well, if you look at the poll, 60% of people either aren't going to see it or have already seen it.
For those of you who said not going to, I understand if for safety reasons, if you're not comfortable going to a theater, that I will never shame you for.
Well, but they would answer no then.
Right? Well, not like going to, I feel like indicates like I'm not going to go to a theater.
Not going to as in you're not going to watch it ever. Like you don't care to watch it. If they want to go but can't go, meaning they want to see it but can't go, then they would answer no, I would think. Because the whole point of answering no is I'm not going to be here for spoiler talk part.
Yeah.
But not going to is like you're going to be here for the spoiler part because you don't ever plan on seeing the movie. Or you're not that interested and you want to take in the spoilers to see if it's worthwhile going to see the movie.
Bird Church, thank you so much. I love Something in the Way, but planting my flag here. Batman Forever and the best Batman soundtrack. Kiss from a Rose and by Seal and Hold Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, Thrill Me by U2. You're gonna hate me for this. Which one is that? A Michael Keaton one? The only other ones I have seen, and I failed because.
Oh, I thought you were about to say you don't know who U2 are.
No, like, wait, no, Batman Forever. I have seen. I'm stupid. Yeah, that's with Val Kilmer. I actually wanted to discuss that because that is with Jim Carrey's Riddler, and I'm curious to hear from people. I mean, I prefer Paul Dano's for sure. I mean, the tones of those two movies, the Jim Carrey Riddler. I'll just show you a picture of what he looked like so you can get a vibe. It's definitely different. Different looks, different tones, different a different aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Me, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. My memory caps out at like 2 years and I don't remember anything prior, so.
So yeah, do we want to switch? What do we do, guys? Do we switch to spoiler talk?
Well, let's see. Are there any other, for anyone who is going to see it and is not going to stick around for the spoiler talk, do you have any questions you want answered prior to going into it? From other people in the chat who have already seen it, or from us if we've seen it. Like prior to going to see the film, is there any kind of, spoiler-free things you want to know prior to going into it?
Fulgrim says, when's the spoiler discussion? Soon. I think we're just giving a last call for, Riddler doesn't look like he does in the comics, but he acts like he does. Wacky, insane, weird, and clever. Oh, for sure. Batman Forever was more of a comic book film. Agreed. This new one seems very different. Yeah, way more mature, I think.
Yeah. Again, I'm stunned that someone said like if they threw a sex scene in there or some nudity or something that it would have been R, and that's the only reason why it wasn't. And,
I can't believe.
I believe it. I mean, they got close.
No, there were
one part. They got close. They were on the edge.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in the audience maybe would have appreciated if they went a little further, but they probably didn't, so that it could stay the PG-13. But
I don't even think we're thinking of perhaps the same scene.
We might not.
I think you might be thinking.
Might not be, but
no, but there were still some scenes in there that I was like, oof, like questioning why it's not R, even just from the nature of the content. Disturbing, disturbing
horror,
things.
Serial killer-ish, like, thriller-ish, like very haunting, chilling horror, like, haunting scenes throughout the film.
Yeah.
Very, very dark, calculating criminal acts.
Yes.
And you're like, multiple times in the movie, like, I can't believe that like, they just did that. I can't believe someone would do that. Nick says, would we see it again soon? And we were thinking about earlier this morning when we were going to go see it again. Definitely plan on seeing it again.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely plan on seeing it again.
Especially because of how long it was. I mean, you're gripped pretty much the whole time. But just for the sheer length, like, I feel like there will 1000% be things that I noticed the second time around that you don't pick up just on the first time because they're just, taking it in naturally first time. So I feel like the consensus is we want to move on. I think people are ready for the spoiler
spoilers.
Talk, so.
Okay.
All right, this is it. Final warning. If you're peacing out, we'll see you. I hope you have a great viewing experience when you go to see the movie. I'm excited for you guys. TMoney, thank you for being here, and I hope you go to see it soon. But yeah, all right. Yep. Last call. We're gonna do it. Right. Switching to spoilers.
We're going.
Yeah.
Last spoiler-free thoughts. Get in your chat. I wasn't English.
All right, we're doing it. Woo! We did it.
Spoiler talk is on.
We are
if you were still in the chat, and you have not seen the film, you have been warned. You are about to get spoiled. So for your own sakes, leave. But if you want to get spoiled, then you're more than welcome to stay, hang out, and chat it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you have no intentions of ever seeing
For the 4% who answered not going to, here is your synopsis of the film. Full spoilers. So opening scene.
Oh my God.
We get classical music with Wayne Manor.
Stop.
And not Wayne Manor, the mayor of Gotham's Manor.
Oh my God.
And it's the Riddler peeking through the binoculars, and you hear his breathing, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then he's looking through all the windows, and you see the mayor's son run around, and the mayor, or mayor-elect, because it's election
candidate.
Mayor candidate. And then...
You're not actually doing this, are you?
What? And then it goes super dark, and it's literally like 5 minutes of like classical music, him just looking and haunting. And then it cuts to the mayor-elect in his room, like in his living room, and he's watching a campaign
Why are you
debate.
doing this?
And it's like pitch black, lightning, and then lightning flashes, and the Riddler's just standing behind him in his living room.
Fulcrum, yes, 1000%. The noise Riddler makes when he murders the mayor at the beginning is so chilling and disturbing. Again, his whole performance from start to finish. I think the most unnerving thing about it is, yes, we see him in that completely gruesome... We see him kill several times, and we see him... I mean, I think the rats eating the guys... They wouldn't even show that. That's how absolutely sick it is. Like, his methods... And the lengths that he's willing to go to just get attention and kill these corrupt people in positions of power. But all of that, like, just seeing how absolutely deranged he is, and then to go to the end. Paul Dano's the perfect casting for this, because he has such an innocent face. Like, when Batman goes to Arkham and the window lifts up and it's slowly, gradually, and then you finally see a full reveal of, like, just Paul Dano sitting there in his prison suit. He looks so out of place. Like, he does not have the appearance of a killer or somebody who would do this. And so that's what makes it... That was the creepiest part of it all for me, the movie. Like, seeing that he's just a real person, but he has all of these... malicious intentions, and he can just go into the Riddler like facade, and that he has inspired, like, he has an audience. That was the creepiest thing for me. You guys know we literally live stream. Like, as someone who live streams and we have a community here, like, when they unlocked his final live stream to his like 500 fans or whatever in this weird niche group of people who secretly are just plotting terroristic attacks on Gotham. And the camera opens up, he just, like, starts it. They did this so perfectly. He starts filming, and then he's just like, hey, guys. Like, he's just talking in his normal voice.
Yeah.
That was the most, like, alarming thing to me. Like, all throughout the film, he is this figure of terror, and he's smarter than everyone in his codes, and he is just, like, you know, detail-oriented when it comes to his acts of killing. Yet, at the end, we see he is just a dude. A very messed up dude, but that was like one of the creepiest parts of the film. Yeah.
Langford said that like a 6-year-old or so got scared when they killed the guy with the rats.
Oh my god.
And the kid was crying and like ran out of the theater. I was like, I totally understand it, because I mean, 24 watching that, and it's like, I can't believe that this is in the movie. Like, I can't believe that
that's the part that I was talking about.
Like
that
the torture
should have been rated R. Like, that scene, I was like, oh my god, they are not kidding around. And they never show it, which is, like, even almost worse. Like, you just have to use your imagination. But, yeah, definitely. I'm glad. I mean, I love superhero. I keep calling this a superhero film. It's really not. Like, this is a psychological thriller, detective mystery that just happens to be about Batman. But I love when superhero films are more dark like that. It makes it feel more like high stakes and real, and like I don't know, they made it definitely feel like all this could happen.
Versus Poe cracking your mom joke flying a mega Star Destroyer. I agree. Even though obviously completely different toned films. But yeah, someone was talking about the Tomb Raider, the first 15 minutes of any comic book film ever made. Yeah, the introduction to Batman in this film was so good, where it's just cutting to like the different crime scenes that are happening, and it's just like the shadows, and like the criminals are looking up into the sky and they see the bat signal, and they're like, oh my god, he's in the shadows. They like totally freak out, and you're like waiting for him to actually walk out of the dark corner, the dark alleyway, and then eventually he does, and then he just pounds everyone.
One of the funniest things though is that, like, even if he couldn't be there, because he says himself, I can't be everywhere at once, even when he's not there, just looking up at the bat signal, like, inspires criminals to, like, get out of there. And, like, the one guy literally he's looking at the bat signal and he gets hit by a car. Like, it's just so funny, the impact that he has. They definitely did a good job of making it believable that these criminals and people who would have the drive to do bad things, or like rob a bank or hold a gun up to somebody, would still be fearful of the Batman, even if he's not right there. Just even the bat signal is enough to spook them. So
also major John Wick vibes when he goes into the club and he's just like fighting the guys, and it's the club music in the background, and he's just fighting his way through to get to the Penguin. That might have been that was one of my favorite scenes. Like, I was like,
I'm about to look
so
for tickets
awesome
again. Like, let's see.
So awesome. Did anyone else get John Wick vibes? Like, I was like, this is John Wick Pattinson rolling through the club, beating everyone up on his way to Penguin. I was waiting for him to take a pencil, just stab
no, don't do that. Yeah, no, that's what I found interesting about his character, and what I really liked. Like, Robert Pattinson's Batman doesn't give a shit. Like, he's not trying to, like, maintain the mystique or the mystery surrounding. He's not, like, chilling in the shadows trying to dodge and hide. He, like, does the cliche, you know, Batman thing. He'll disappear, you know, 1 second he's chilling with Gordon, and then Gordon turns around and he's gone. But in terms of just, like, showing up and knocking on the club door, like, I feel like Christian Bale's Batman would have done something. He would have found a way to, like, sneak in and, like, try to just avoid it entirely and just go directly to the Penguin. But Robert Pattinson's Batman, he just goes up.
Yeah, he is. He's very, and even, like, the way that how involved he is with the crime scene.
Yeah.
Like, in Dark Knight stuff, like, Bale's working with Gordon, but it's just those two working together for the most part. But in this case, like, Pattinson is on the scene looking for clues with all the other investigators and the cops, like, all right around there. And seeing that interaction with, like, the cops, like, what is he doing here? And Gordon's like, no, he belongs here.
He's the smartest one here.
Yeah, like, back off. He's supposed to be here. Yeah. And going back to the eye thing, like, you see in those investigative scenes, like, he's walking around, just looking around, examining the crime scene while everyone's just, like, chit-chatting, not getting anything done. And then he'll just have a one-liner explaining what the riddle is or explaining a clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying, like, other Batman wouldn't even be in the room.
Yeah, they're way more careful about keeping up the mystery and the air surrounding them. But it's like everybody like, even Catwoman's reaction when he kind of sabotages her, as she's trying to go and steal her friend's passport out of the mayor's his kind of safe. Like, she obviously fights him at first, and she's like surprised that he's there, but then afterwards she's just like, dude, come on. Like, she just talks to him like he's a random dude. Like, she clearly knows who he is, but, like, I don't know like
who Batman is.
Yeah, like, she knows who Batman is.
Bruce Wayne.
No, she doesn't know he's Bruce Wayne, but I'm saying everybody knows him at that point. That if they were to see him on the street, like, she literally isn't like, oh my god, you're him. And maybe that perhaps speaks more to her character. Like, she wouldn't be bothered or shocked by something like that. But that, I feel like, was just very telling. How her underreaction. But she also saw him
in the club. Like, that's when they first
saw him,
true.
Right? That's true.
Because she was.
Yeah, she has a little bit more of a reaction in the club, but then they pretty much immediately just start bantering with her friend's passport, and I feel like that is indicative that everybody knows him. He's just out and about a lot.
Also, this is a great point from Langford, talking about the tech and, like, his recording contact lenses.
Yeah,
like, those are sweet. Like, seeing the new tech, I mean, that was awesome. And seeing, like, how he was basically using Catwoman as a
vlog.
as a
human camera.
Yeah. Like, send her into the club, get the visuals, and then he's in the control room in the Batcave, like, ingesting all the data. And actually, he wasn't in the Batcave. He was just
he's just in an alley or something.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really cool seeing the new tech. But then also, we have to talk about the Batmobile and that chase scene. First of all, the buildup was unreal. Like, that she's going to get the money, and then she sees her friend's dead body in the trunk.
Yeah.
And then it spirals out of control and then leads to the chase scene that we see in the trailers. And let me tell you, when things went dark and you hear the revving of the Batmobile in the alley and the lights flicker on, and then you can see, like, the engine covers start to heat up and he's just revving the engine, chills everywhere. All over I had goosebumps everywhere. Like, the sound design of that chase and the intensity and the way they shot that chase scene with the Batmobile, the hot-rodded Batmobile, was unreal. It was so good. And even the fact that they showed the conclusion of it in the trailer, it was so good.
Still, yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and I thought it was interesting because at first, his Batmobile is very much in tune with the rest of his persona. Like, he doesn't have to try very hard. He just knows he's cool. So, like, he doesn't have to go through all the theatrics. I don't want this to sound like I'm bashing on Christian Bale's, but, like, they describe it as, like, a tank.
Well, it was. Like, Bale's was very much like futuristic technology.
Yeah, like a military grade weapon.
Wayne Enterprises has a whole military division, and that's where he got all his gear from.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I think Robert Pattinson, from the front, it looked more like it was so low to the ground, it was like a supercar. I was like, what even, what's he driving? And then we see a little more from the back, and it's like, the Batmobile itself, at first I'm like, this looks like it could just be a regular car, but then as he's involved in that chase, and there are literally just chunks of, like, debris and concrete, like, I vividly remember there's a scene where he, like, just drives through, like, blocks or, like, debris from, like, broken cars and trucks, and it's concrete, it's like concrete blocks, and he just plows through it like butter. Like it was insane.
Yeah, Langford, I did see that he stalled, and I was like, in the theater, I was like, wait, you're telling me he just stalled? Like, did he really just stall? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And I was still second guessing if he actually stalled or what, but it seemed like he stalled. But I was just stunned.
No, he
I was like, you're telling me he just stalled? Like, but whatever. I mean, he was sitting back there just revving the engine, just screwing around, just, you know, pumping, hitting redlining prior to actually starting the chase. So I guess he deserves it. But
yeah, no, that was definitely the tech and everything. And I liked that he kind of explains, oh, Simply Everything, what's up? I'm on my new computer, and this is my first desktop computer, and I love it. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're doing well. Congrats on your new computer. That's one of the best feelings. When you have a fresh new computer, you have infinite storage. No. It's not like clouded with all your junk yet, so enjoy it while it's still new. That's exciting. Oh my god, when Batman kneels down and peers into the car on the ground and the theme intensifies chills. Yes! Again, his acting! He literally just bends over and looks at him, like, doesn't do anything to change his expression. Just, like, stone cold stares at him. Dead face. Like, that epitomizes Robert Pattinson's performance in this movie. Like, that pretty much sums up. He does not even have to try. He just stares at you. Dead in the face. Like, absolutely no emotion, and it's just riveting. Like, incredible.
Yeah. I think the chase scene might be my favorite scene in the whole movie.
I don't know what my favorite
was. Or,
is.
I mean, John Wick club scene was definitely up there. The scene where he sends the car with the guy into the funeral service or memorial service. That scene was so intense. That's up there.
Lots of good build-up. Like, that whole build-up to that, like, you could hear it in the distance. Everybody was faint screaming and freaking out, and it took, like, a solid, like, 30 seconds, I feel like, until it finally crashed into the... wherever they were. It looked like City Hall, almost. What do you think of the Riddler outfit? I personally don't like it. It's like a trash bag on his head. I think, like, if you were to look at Jim Carrey's Riddler, yeah, it's definitely different. I like it, though, because it looks realistic. Like, if a random person, because, again, like, we see after he's been captured, like, he turns out to just be some dude living in his apartment, like, his own operation, doing all this. So I believed it as, like, that's what any random person could construct if they were trying to do a DIY, just something to conceal their identity. So that I believed it in that sense, and it made it creepier, because I was like, yeah, you could probably go and buy whatever he's using. Clearly, yes.
Well, yeah,
like,
that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
50 other people go and replicate
popping the links in the chat and be like, oh, get this garbage bag from, you know, Cabela's.
Exactly.
And
Cabela's. You give it Cabela's back.
I'm not Cabela's is sponsoring this video, so shout out to Cabela's.
Nandini, what's up? I love you. I miss you.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh gosh. But so yeah, I thought his costume was believable when it comes to similar to Selena Kyle's. When she was slipping into the cat suit, I was like, okay, what's her thing? And it was just like a one-piece like bodysuit. It looked like, but it felt like, okay, you could probably go out and buy that somewhere. Like, it seemed like accessible and kind of DIY. I think that's the aspect that I like about both of their looks. It was very much like believable.
Back. Sorry about that.
We've got a Big Ten rival in the chat. That's why Tom is trolling. I've not seen the Batman movie yet, but I'm really wanting to see it. Also, I'm fine with spoilers. Oh my god, it's Simply Everything. I mean, it's 3 hours long, so there's no possible way that we could spoil the entire thing for you, luckily. But I guess okay. I'm glad you're all right with spoilers.
But even like us talking about it, like, you know, we're talking about the chase scene and, you know, John Wick in the club and like other scenes and stuff,
we can't
but like it's a whole cinematic experience. So like even when you go see it in the theater, like, you're not going to be thinking about what we're talking about in the chat. You're going to be like, you might remember, like, oh, they were talking about this, but seeing it on theater can be like, wow, no wonder they were talking about it, because this is incredible. So
yeah. Langford artist, I love that comment. I like how the cops were making fun of the Riddler because he only has like 500 followers. But yeah, when you think about it, that's a lot of people, and that's one of the parts of the movie that like scared me the most, because this could happen in like today's day and age. I feel like the film did a really good job, and this is like the one thing I said to Tom after we got out. Normally, I don't like at all when I'm watching like a current day, a modern day, contemporary show or film that is supposed to be taking place like it could happen in today's events. I usually absolutely despise when they include like news broadcasts or like stuff like that, because it just immediately takes me out. I'm like, that's not a real news station. That's not like real report. Like, I immediately just, something about that just doesn't feel real. But it also takes place in
Gotham, which
no, I know. So. But in this case, the film relied heavily on like the news broadcasts of breaking news, like his live streams, like the Riddler's like Instagram videos and his FaceTimes. Like, they used a lot of just like modern day stuff about how news would spread, or how propaganda spreads, or how like in the Riddler's case, like how you can spread hate and these terrible, horrible ideas. And that was one of the scarier aspects of the film. Like, that, if anything, the news and the live streams and his FaceTime like made it all feel more real and made it feel more scary, because this could happen in modern day. Like, we don't know how many secret groups there could be out there like on the internet for this stuff. I mean, like, it happens. That's a real problem. So
if you think about it, had 500 followers and like 20 of them showed up. Like, think that's a dedicated following. Like, if you're talking 500 followers to having a meet and greet and 20 of them show up on your behalf to kill people, like, that is a dedicated following. Like, if you did a meetup, if you were like, oh, let's do a meetup, like this time, this place, no shot 20 people show up.
No, for sure. No. Yeah.
No way. So the Riddler engages with his audience, apparently like no one else on this planet, because the fact that he got 20 people to show up to Gotham Square Garden and, you know, start shooting people, you know, he knows how to control his audience for sure. So
yeah.
All right, take some.
Yeah. Riddler is just crazy. Plus, I think he would have a new one after him, and someone gets out. Oh, yep. Exactly. Langford makes a good point. If the Zodiac Killer had social media back in the day, he totally would have used it. And I think you're right. And Tom and I have been, maybe I'm hyper fixating on this because Tom, unfortunately, is really into like cold case, forensic files, shows and documentaries and stuff like that. So we've been watching a lot of those, but we even see in some of those like examples of these online chat rooms for people like who are homicidal. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's actually real. So I'm gonna get off this topic now because it's really starting to scare me, but I love the opening as well, showing the different crimes and not knowing which one Batman would be at. Yeah, exactly. And I think just the Ave Maria, like during that whole opening scene, when you're first just like, what are we even looking at? And then right out of the gate, you can tell from the sound of the breath and based on what we've heard, you know, in the trailers, like, okay, that is the Riddler. And at first I thought at first that it was a flashback to like a young Bruce Wayne, like the parallels were definitely. And I think because the whole film I was really questioning, like, why is he so invested in this? Like, why is he almost obsessive about this? And then I remembered, like, this case is so, the death of the mayor, which sets the whole thing off, is so eerily similar to like what happened to him as a kid. So
and I mean, that's why I think they had the scene of him turning on the TV and seeing like the campaign arguments, because like at first you're watching it and you're like, oh my god, is that Bruce? Is that Thomas Wayne and like Thomas and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
In the like, is that who he's looking at? But then you realize, oh, it's actually okay. It's not, but it doesn't matter because this man's about to get murdered.
Yeah.
And then somehow Riddler like gets on the roof. Like that's I didn't really think about that until right now. But yeah,
he probably is geared.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably maybe got a grappling hook, or he's just got those Spidey reflexes. He's just Riddler's just scaling the roof.
Yeah,
or scaling the windows.
My favorite part was Bruce saving and guiding people out of the flood. Yeah, the people reached out for him, and he realizes that vengeance won't change the past. People need hope. That is a really good point. And again, one of the strongest parts of that scene is, you know, he's there extending his helping hand to pull them out of the wreckage. And even then, people still won't take his... They're reluctant to take his hand. And they're looking at him, like, almost fearful. Like, whose side are you on? Like, do we even trust you? And I think if there is a part 2, I think I would like to see more of that. If they have a sequel. Which I'm assuming there will be with this tease. I hope it goes somewhere.
Yeah, there is. I know we were talking earlier how there's not a lot of cameos and not a lot of teasing going on. But... at the end, there is a very, very interesting tease, cameo, what have you, for a future film. Also, Nana, you reversed your operand in that statement there, because it's either you reverse the operand or you put the wrong name at the end. Something that doesn't add up. But yeah, that cameo little tease at the end there. At first, I was telling Catherine this. I was like, that sounds like Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was me being hopeful that they were going to reveal that Joaquin Phoenix was his cellmate. And if that was the case, I would have completely lost it. I would have been like, no shot. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is the Joker in this Batman's universe.
I told you. I'm pretty sure it got kind of leaked or rumored that it was.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah. I didn't see that, but. And I like that we didn't really see, like, we saw the one shot of the side of his face kind of in the shadows. But we didn't actually see, like, full on, like, what this world's Joker is going to look like.
Yeah. But
the shot that's just, like, pans out, the ending shot of those two just, like, laughing together in the like, conjoining cells was perfect amount of tease for a future movie.
No, and I'm glad that, you know, they could potentially team up. Because, like I said this in my review. I think Paul Dano, his performance, he didn't have much screen time, especially after, you know, he got revealed. He really had just that one scene. From Squidward's Tentacles, thank you so much. Came across this and just want to say the dude's hair game is on point. Are you referring to Tom?
Squidward. That is such an honor. I'm totally humbled.
I'm honored because I'm the one who does his hair. Literally, this is like the 4th week in a row that you have gotten a comment on your haircut.
I know. It is a fun fact. Catherine does cut my hair.
Yeah. So this is validating for me. I'm like, all right, because half the time I cut his hair, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I've done it enough to the point that I feel like I have a grip, and if I mess up, I can try to fix it. But I'm still, like, worried when he goes out to work the next day. I'm like, do people look at it and wonder if he cuts his own hair? Like, I get nervous. So
no, I've never seen that. So
I'm glad.
Yeah.
So thank you, Squidward, for that.
Squidward. Very, very generous, Squidward. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We do know that this Joker is already disfigured, so he and Batman have definitely already run into each other before. That's a good point. I wish they had shown just a little bit more, but maybe that was part of the tease. Like, you could only really see a silhouette of him, but he was evidently not... It looked like he had taken a bit of a beating to the face, so I wanted to see more, but perhaps that was, of course, you know, intentional, to just reveal a little bit. Rob's hair should be shorter in the next film. I was imagining some people were probably gonna say that. It definitely was a little bit like emo, sad boy vibes when he was, or at least they could have styled it, but I think that matched.
No, I mean, the long bangs coming across the front, like that that was definitely the look they were going for.
Like he listens to My Chemical Romance. He honestly looked like Toby in when he's Venom.
Bully Maguire. Bully Maguire, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely different, and it was a stark contrast, like, between, like, you look at him in the bat suit, you're like, then he takes it off, and he's got the long hair, and you're like, that's surprising, but I think it works. Like, I mean, he's a younger Batman, right? True. Like, he's, so, I don't know, if he listens to My Chemical Romance, and, you know, whatever, dude's gonna do what he's gotta do, so.
I hope to God this Joker fell into a vat of chemicals. I'm so tired of the Face King trope. Annoys me as a comic book reader. Dunk this man in some green chemicals and make him go insane. Oh my God, Langford Artist, you're on fire tonight. I like it. I like it. I'm seeing a lot of, I haven't acknowledged some of them, but I'm seeing comments about Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze. Yes to all of them. I would love to see them. Mr. Freeze especially. I think he's a really great antagonist that I would love to see come up again in the future. Catherine Matt Reeves said that they did shoot a scene with Joker, but earlier in the movie, but they deleted it. He said they will release it later, so you'll see more of him. Oh, good! I'm excited to see when they release that.
Very interesting.
Who do you prefer, very Christian Bale or Robert Pattinson? Bale's is still my favorite. Yeah, we haven't really duked this out yet, and I feel like we probably have differing. I don't know yet. They're
I don't
different.
know. I honestly don't know. I mean, we watched, you know, Bale's movies this week, and I don't know. It's actually a really, really tough call for me. Between, you know, whether this or Dark Knight is my favorite Batman movie. And honestly, I couldn't give you an answer. I couldn't give an answer.
Yeah.
This movie was so good. And, you know, I think there's a lot of reasons why this movie is good. But right now, like, after only seeing it one time, it's hard for me to say, like, just if you're looking at Batman v Batman, which one is better.
Yeah, I really, and I was trying so hard not to, but I mean, this entire time I've been mentally comparing the trailers and like, oh, this looks like it'll be even darker than Dark Knight. Sorry.
Catherine just stabbed me.
I've been just like unintentionally, just subconsciously doing that this whole time with the promotional material. And so I really went into this trying to like tell myself, like, don't try to compare this. Don't go into this comparing it to the Dark Knight or, you know, whatever. Like, don't think of it as its own thing. Pretend the Dark Knight doesn't exist. Like, that's what I had to tell myself. But honestly, that doesn't even need to be a concern because they are so different. I really thought there was going to be more room for comparison to like peg them against each other, but this film totally separates itself. It's completely different. It sets its own precedents and own aesthetic that you can't even compare. And so Robert Pattinson's, you know, to look at his Batman and then look at Christian Bale's and try to pick one over the other, it's hard because they each are a different type. Robert Pattinson is more of like the sad boy, emo, goth, a little bit angsty, like shuts himself out from the world. Like that is just more of his type. Or at least the way he brought it to the character. He could just as easily do, I'm sure, like the Playboy bachelor party, spending all his money, you know, Bruce Wayne. I do think he could have done that, but that's obviously not the storyline they were going for with this one. So like he did a really good job of being like more angsty, whereas Christian Bale, he is the party boy, the bachelor
who has that sweet Murcielago.
Yes,
his Lambo is very nice.
Yeah,
Mr. Bale's Batman has a very nice Lambo.
It's hard to compare them. If they were both like the bachelor millionaire type but secretly sad on the inside and vulnerable, like then it would be easier to make a comparison, but they portray two completely different versions. Piercing Like Light Productions, what is up? Simply Everything, I'm sorry you have to go, but thank you for tuning in.
Later, Simply. Thanks for hanging out.
I will say the second time I watched this movie, I loved it more. The twist at the end seems out of nowhere, but on rewatch, it plays out just like how Riddler said. He never threatened Batman. Yeah, that was another really interesting dynamic between him and Batman, when Batman confronts him at Arkham, and it's just like, what do you want from me? And Riddler treats him, he's like, dude, we're besties by now. Like, and he's like, you're the one who, we're a team whether you have acknowledged it or not. You've been doing everything I've been trying to get you to do so that he could snipe Carmine. And that was a really interesting seeing, like, the Riddler's so right in that moment, and seeing, you know, Bruce having to be like, you're lying, you're just talking gibberish, you're insane, but he's just deflecting. He's like, no, you're wrong. He's totally gaslighting him, but you can tell that he takes that in, and he's like, shit, this guy's right. Like, he's had me wrapped around his finger, and I just did exactly what he wanted so that he could take out, you know, the biggest crime boss who was about to give us all these answers and everything. So, Zech, what is up? Hello, hope you guys are well. Batman was great. I'm so glad that you liked it. Thanks for being here. Just view them as the multiverse. Earth 1, Christian Bale. Earth 2, Robert. Earth 3, Michael Keaton. Earth 4, Batcat. They are all Batman. Yes, agreed. And this Gotham was so different, and somebody made a good point earlier, like, this is the best Gotham we've ever seen. I agree completely, because... what do you think?
I kind of got a hot take.
Oh, God.
I feel like Gotham in The Joker is the best Gotham we've ever seen.
Ooh.
Personally. I mean, the Gotham in Joker is enormous. Like, I mean, they make it huge. Like, particularly, like, the scene where they're on the train, and you, like, get the full shot of the city. I mean, it's, like, massive. But then also the way that they, like, talk about, like, the citizens and stuff, like, that was, you know, more, like, the Joker's kind of like a character study of how Gotham operates and stuff.
I think you make a good point that it shows more of a perspective of what it's like to be a citizen of Gotham. Yeah. You see more of just kind of like the seedy, like, these are the neighborhoods, like, it's not at least where the Joker lives. Yeah. His neighborhood's not great, but, like, that you get that's the vibe throughout the majority of the city, unless you're in the top 1%. Yeah. And so it helps to build, you know, it fuels, like, why the whole city uprises at the end. Yeah. Yeah. But the Gotham in this movie is definitely modern. I mean, they have Gotham Square Garden, so literally, like, here's New York, but we're slapping Gotham on it. So yeah. It's definitely cool. And I do, like, in the Dark Knight trilogy, the way they have Arkham, you know, they show off Arkham, like, in Batman Begins, and it's, like, the bridges on the, like, you know, the Asylum City out in the water. Like, I like that part of Gotham that they show off in the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah. But yeah. Julian, thank you again. Aside from the Batman, have you seen Little Italy? I have seen some of it. I'm glad that you thought it was good. It's not my favorite Hayden Christensen performance. Let's just don't trash our boy like that. Okay, no. If you even saw a couple clips from this, I feel like you wouldn't even be able to watch it. I think I've seen just, like, interviews and stuff of, like, the press tour. Yeah. Of when that was coming out. I much prefer his performance as Anakin. Let's put it that way. But I'm glad that you liked it, and that is not me hating on him. And hey, I think you're allowed to be a fan of somebody and still criticize their work. I know. I'm just saying, in the next couple months, the tolerance for Hayden Christensen slander is very, very, very thin. Very thin. Yeah. Because our boy is about to crush it in what's today's date? What's today's date? March 4th. The 4th. Okay, so we got April 4th. T-minus 2.5 months. 21 days. 2 months, 21 days, whatever. Yeah. I can't do math. No. Great world building, says Charlie. I agree. I think we saw something's going on. I think it's interesting that we saw more of we do see they pretty much focused more on, like, the seedy side, I feel like, of this, the clubs, like Falcone, the mob kind of aspect of this you know, those corners of Gotham. You know, the Christian Bale's The Dark Knight trilogy, you see a lot more of like his playboy lifestyle and like the upper class, like Wayne Enterprises, his luxury, the parties. You see more of that. I think this one had a good perspective of like
the underworld side and all the corruption. Like this one really shows. I mean, the whole goal is the whole plot of the movie is pretty much kill all the corrupt people and show how they're corrupt. And it walks through each list. You know, Riddler has the first person corrupt in this way, next person corrupt in this way, and you see that whether it's going into the club and seeing how they're all connected with the Falcone and others and Penguin. And so it really just showing how the city is corrupt from the foundation. And then eventually the end of the movie, or I guess end of Act 2 of the movie, before Gotham Square Garden stuff, it's rooting out and killing the root cause of all the corruption, the root source of all the corruption.
Pattinson and Hayden making comebacks this year. Goats for real. I know. I know. This is their year. The year of true kings. Time for you to go suit up and save the city. Yeah, I was thinking about returning to Arkham Knight this weekend.
Yeah?
I don't know. Maybe. A big fat maybe. Maybe. I do more damage to the city than actual good when I play that game, so I don't know, but
That's true. Yeah. You little Gran Turismo 7 just came out, so you can get that. She can get some driving reps in. You just do the winter drift races, so you get the that traction control-less racing under your belt.
The Playboy millionaire Bruce Wayne is a facade. He isn't Tony Stark. That's a good point. The thing that defines Bruce Wayne is that he's Batman, and by the end, he's starting to realize, I need to be something more. You make a good point. At least for Christian Bale's, he kind of uses the Playboy stuff as a veil for his actual. He's equally emo, I think, on the inside as Robert Pattinson's Batman. He just does a better job of concealing it and putting on a happy face because he has to keep up his family name, which was actually, it was really interesting and almost a little disheartening, dare I say, to see how far Robert Pattinson, he didn't let the Wayne name fall, but a lot gets shoved in his face throughout as he realizes he spends all his time being the Batman, that Bruce Wayne is almost non-existent at this point. He steps out for the funeral and everyone is in shock because he never shows his face. He really kind of abandoned the city and doesn't do anything in that regard as Bruce Wayne with his name. He does
he's Batman 24/7.
Yes, he does stuff as Batman, but it was interesting to see how far he kind of let Bruce Wayne fall in terms of public reputation. And then seeing, learning about the orphanage and the Wayne trust funds and the charities that were established by his father, and then after his passing, there was no oversight. There had never been oversight. It's kind of he's learning that yes, he's spending all his time as Batman, but there were things he could have been doing as Bruce Wayne to make a change as well. He has power either way, and he was fully neglecting his power as one of the most influential and wealthy people in the city. I thought that was really interesting. They make it pretty, they kind of really emphasize how much of a hermit Bruce Wayne is in this, and how much the city kind of looks at him what are you even doing? He's not doing anything. They just kind of neutrally look at him well, okay, you're rich, that's it. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a good point. Christian Bale's Batman definitely shows his face more, but he also literally completely disappeared to the
That's true.
to the east when the League of Shadows, he was gone for almost a decade before coming back.
That's true.
And then it's you're alive? What you've been gone for almost 10 years. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Langford
Artist, thank you so much for all your commentary tonight. It was it was fun to hear your thoughts. So thank you for chiming in. Third act of the film dragged on a bit. Yeah, definitely. I really thought it was going to end as he pulled up the carpet and realized, like, the Riddler had the city mapped out, and as the explosions were gonna go off, like, there was, like, like, that was a very climactic moment, the stress, the tension.
No.
I thought it was kind of gonna end before, like, all the bombs went off. No. And, like, that would be a cliffhanger for another film. But then as the bombs started going off,
I'm glad that it didn't end, because if you just see that,
yeah, we'd all be like,
now we have to wait to see what actually happens. So like, yeah, in the moment you're like, it's gonna end, and then it doesn't, and you're like, what more could they possibly be telling? But then you realize the story and the plot lines that they're gonna finish up telling in this one movie, and you're like, okay, I mean, it's a super long movie, but I'm glad they're not leaving us hanging, and they're actually like showing us right now how everything's gonna end.
I think if it had ended there, I would have been like, no, how could they? But and it kept going, and I still was like, so I feel like there was they had to finish it, or else people would have been upset that it ended there. So it's like, I'd rather take it being a little bit long by the end than. But again, it just goes back to, like, at that point, why the heck not? I waited so long for this. Like, it was quite the event. Like, by the end of the 3 hours, you're like, oh my god, that was so immersive, and I forgot about real life, and that's what you want after you've been waiting for 2 years for something. You don't want it to go by in the blink of an eye. In my perspective, I was like, wow, for the first time, I feel like I waited so long for something, and I'm so happy with how it turned out that I feel I'm completely satisfied. No. Like, there were Star Wars films that, going to see some of the sequels, I walked out and I was like, all right, well.
Yeah, it didn't feel like an event. It just felt like people just threw together a script and.
All right, this is turning into sequel slander.
Whatever. Fine.
I'm just saying, and this is nothing against the sequels inherently, but I feel like it's not a crime to say I walked out of some of them and felt like, oh man,
angry,
waited all this time, and now I gotta,
disappointed,
wait another 2 years,
upset.
Okay, all right.
None of those fall into this movie's category, because this was an event. This was like, we're bringing out all the stops. You're gonna get one jam-packed, crazy, awesome story in one 3-hour movie, and no one's gonna leave, very disappointed. It's great. This is an event. That's a great way to describe it. It's an event. It's not just a movie. No, it's not just another Batman remake. Like, it is an event.
Yeah, I feel like that's. Do you have anything else you want to touch on? I feel like I covered everything. I just really want to go see it again after this whole conversation.
Yeah, I know. Definitely want to see it again. Trying to think. I mean, I think we hit on most of it. The like torture scenes from the Riddler. All the action in the club. Chase scene. Final act with the Riddler's goons rolling up to Gotham Square Garden. I guess what we can talk about is, I think it's worth having a discussion now. Like, how do we think it's going to go in a future movie? I know someone was talking about Poison Ivy showing up. Zach, you were just talking about Mr. Freeze. There's obviously a ridiculous amount of Gotham lore and other people we could see and storylines we could follow in the future in the same universe. What do you guys think? I mean, obviously they tease Joker, so like we know that we're getting Joker involvement if there is, future films planned. But like, does anyone have any like pretty solid thoughts and like predictions that they have? Like, did someone come out of that movie and there's like, oh, this is totally how it's going to go in the future movies?
Court of Owls, Calendar Man, and Mr. Freeze as villains. I would love Mr. Freeze. I think Poison Ivy would be great because she, as a character, I feel like contrasts so much with Robert Pattinson's version of Batman. I think that would be really interesting to see them clash. But also, like, their handling of Catwoman. I mean, I think also credit to Zoe Kravitz. She did such a good job. But she had a really good role to work with. Like, they they wrote her character really well. I like, she could hold her own, so I would be excited to see them deal with another female character. Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Joker, I'd hope.
Liam Neeson returns.
Yeah, I'm trying not to make predictions because this film already, this has been in development since like 2019, like 2018. So I'm assuming it's going to take a couple more years.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, I'd rather it be like an event, right? Like, don't just pump them out. Like, put the time and the effort and take the time to develop it. And then, you know, if we get it 3-4 years later, then it's going to be another event. You're going to be like, the first one was so good. Like, we've been waiting for this next one. You know, like the sequel trilogy, for example, like every other year they release the movies. But if you think about the originals and the prequels, like George and Lucasfilm took like 3 years of full development on each movie. There was no overlap in development. It was like, all right, we're going to make Phantom Menace. We're going to spend 3 years developing the Phantom Menace, you know, pre-production, planning, shooting, reshoots, post-production, all of it. Like 3 years of truly, fully developing the movie. And then after that's done, then they go into Attack of the Clones. But the sequels, it was like, all right, we're going to have one person work on The Force Awakens. And then when we start doing that, then the next person's going to start working on the next one. Overlapping, but not talking to each other about the story. And then we're going to start working on the final one while The Last Jedi is still in production. And it's like,
this wasn't meant to turn into sequels.
I'm just saying it's a comparison. Like, this movie, they spent the time to really put all the effort and attention into this one movie. And then now that this is out, now they can really take the time to give full production value that a sequel would deserve.
Yes, I am preparing myself that this is going to come out same time as Eclipse, 2027, when I'm going to be 30. So that's what I'm bracing myself for. From Julian, thank you so much again, Cat, for the next live stream only. Oh, members only stream, put Grandma Boys on the polls. Don't know if you've seen it. I don't even think I've heard of that. I'll have to look into that. So thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, I'll have to take a look. Nolan took his time with his trilogy, 2005, 2008, then 2012. Yeah, so I'm expecting that this is going to take... I'm enjoying what we have now, and you make a good point. We're at a good spot where even if this did end up being a standalone film, which I'd be fine if it did, I wouldn't be heartbroken. No. So that's a good stopping point if you know it's going to take another four years to develop the next one. So I'm, for now, just happy and extremely satisfied with what we got. Can't wait to go and see it again. And so I feel good about where things left off. Are you going to do your final poll?
Yep. Gonna have a poll. All right.
This will be an interesting one. We need a new Mr. Freeze. Haven't had a live action version of him since the late 90s. I know, and he is a really complex villain. I really like him. So I agree. I think that would be really cool.
Okay.
All right, we've got our final poll for the evening, folks.
Yeah. Seems like we have a general consensus of where everyone stands, but figure we just ask you guys and see, like, for everyone who's seen it, what would you give it on a 0 to 10 rating?
For church, just off the trailer, I reckon I'd rather be a victim of Jim Carrey's Riddler than Dano's. 1,000%. I did not. I don't think Jim Carrey's Riddler would have anywhere near as gruesome as some of the forms of torture that he had, Paul Dano's. So I can't picture that he would have equivalent methods of killing. So I'm with you on that one. I'd rather be taken out by Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, all in all, like, this movie was very, very dark, and someone, I think it was Langford, saying that a 6-year-old ran out of theater like crying. He was scared.
That's so sad.
I mean, like, if you have scenes like that in the movie, it's like, this is such a dark film, and it's like, touching on stuff that's like real life, like, drama and things that people have to deal with. And like showing the corruption and, you know, the, like, I mean, Batman, Bruce Wayne's involvement in just like solving the crime, and then it turns into a like massive city destruction event. Like it's I am very, very pleased with the overall tone of the film and the conflicts of the film and how the film turned out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really good to see that, you know, we got 11 votes and majority are 10-9, and the other quarter of the votes are 6-8. So, you know, from it seems like majority reception is everyone came out of it like that's a good movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any comments or reviews anywhere that's like that film is trash for XYZ reasons. Like no one has said that. It is from what I've seen, a global consensus that this movie is good. At minimum, it is good. Yeah. Majority of people are like, that is great. So
yeah, and I think again that's a really good sign that it is a good film, like on its own, regardless of the hype, because I feel like the more hyped up and anticipated and pushed like a film is, like the marketing for this, it's just been Batman trailers everywhere. Like I feel like in this final month leading up to the release, like they released so many trailers. The hype has been so long since 2020, so I feel like people tend to be even harsher when you've been waiting for a movie for that long and then it finally comes out. Like I feel like people are more inclined to be a little bit more critical, so I think it's a good sign that people, like, overall consensus that I've seen on Twitter so far, I haven't looked much. I want to go and look at other people's reviews, but people I'm seeing are very happy with it. So
yeah, and it's really good to see, because it seems like, you know, for the last 5+ years, I mean, there's just not been a lot of like cinema that's been outside of Marvel stuff. I mean, it seems like
come on,
No Way Home and
Dune was
huge, but not like as universally like hyped and loved. You know,
I guess,
like,
but it was still a huge event.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but not at the level of this or No Way Home or Infinity War and Endgame. Like outside of those 4 movies, I feel like there's not a lot of universally like loved. I mean, Rogue One. I think Rogue One is, for the majority, people, you know, really have a fond spot for Rogue One. But like, I feel like it's rare now. I feel like when stuff comes out, there's something that a good chunk of people are upset with. And, you know, obviously everyone has a right to be upset with something and has a right to not like something. But when you have events and movies like this, where it's like, I mean, we just did a poll and every single rating that from the vote is above, you know, 6 or above, which means that everyone who's seen it in the chat at least enjoyed the time at the movie and thought that it was worth going to see. So it warms my heart.
Oh my god. Well, I think we can end off on that note. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that this was a bit different and that hopefully people didn't feel excluded, but we wanted to just talk about it now while it's hype, and so people can come and rewatch this. I mean, if you've been here and you've been getting spoiled the whole time, I do apologize, but we tried. I hope we were successful. I really wanted this to be like I tried to keep this as spoiler-free as possible up in the beginning until now, for those who haven't seen it. So if you've seen it and you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you. If you're going to see it again, I'm happy for you. I hope that we do the same. I would love to go again.
No, we gotta see it again.
If you have yet to see it, enjoy. Good luck. I hope you love it. But regardless, thank you guys so much for tuning in and chatting and sharing your thoughts and being active in the chat tonight. It was fun to hear from you guys. I really wanted to hear what other people were thinking, have some fun predictions for a potential sequel and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Again, Dork Discourse is going to be going back to our original date on Tuesdays from now on. More Arkham Knight. Yeah, maybe I'll do some Arkham Knight this weekend. We'll see. But stay tuned for that. I kind of want to go back to gaming, streaming, and try that game out one more time. If I epically fail my second gameplay, we're going to try something else. So...
yeah, there's a handful of things.
Yep.
Handful of things. I mean, Lego Star Wars.
This is true.
That's coming up real soon now. So
yeah,
definitely gonna be full deep dive gameplay of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Looking forward to it. What? Okay, all right. What are you even doing? Oh.
What? Always got to end with the figures.
Oh, yeah. There's nowhere... We don't have anywhere to put them in this setup.
Can I balance them on my...
Yeah, just put them on your shoulder. Alrighty. Okay, on that note, we're gonna sign off. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, that one's balancing perfectly.
This one's head's too big.
Hope you guys have a great weekend ahead. TGIF. If you're going to see the movie again, have fun. And we'll see you guys again very soon. Oh, no. Oh, no. You good?
I got it. Figured it out.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Oh, gosh. Okay. I don't think this is working.
Grogu, get a bigger head.
Oh, my God.
This one doesn't have... This Batman does not have any balance. Oh,
there we go. All right. We're going to end now while they're balancing. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. May the force be with you guys. I am vengeance, whatever you want to say. And we'll see you guys again very, very soon.
See you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody.